Hello out there, Internet. My name is Matthew Hurst, aka the Brune, and if you're tuning in to this live stream, that means you already know that you are here to watch me taste test Brooklyn Brine's Hop-Pickles. Now, I see that the tweet just went out, and for those of you who don't know, Brooklyn Brine is a very popular pickling company. There's been quite a rash of them lately, and this one is marketed for a specific reason for today's taste test, and that is that it is supposedly made with Dogfish Head's beer. So right away, I know the beer geeks out there are probably pretty excited to learn about that. And not only is it made with Dogfish Head beer, it's actually brewed with the 60-minute IPA. So maybe they're most famous of many different hoppy beers and hoppy beer styles that they make for Dogfish Head. But Brooklyn Brine didn't stop there. They beyond the actual hops of the beer itself, they added a bunch of caramelized onions and supposedly Cascade hop oil is what it says here on the label. And if you actually look very carefully at the label here, you'll see that it's actually a combination of the Brooklyn Brine Company barrel, and in the backdrop here you have that beautiful Dogfish Head logo. It's really a beautiful label. I was very lucky to get this from a friend and brew breeder who sent over a bunch of pickles, and this was included with that. You know, it's pretty well known that people who love beer also love other fermented things. And pickling is another form of bacterial fermentation. So before we get started, feel free to leave any comments or questions you have on this live stream, and I'll do my best to answer those as I go along. And I just want to let you guys know that this taste test is going to be quite scientific. Now, this being made with Dogfish Head 60-minute IPA, you might think it would pair well with that beer, but for the sake of providing differentiation of the different tastes that we're having here, along with all the other things you can actually see in the bottle. There's quite a bit of traditional pickling spices as well. We're going to drink a very much more plain beer to provide a little bit of control. I'm not going to name this beer. I'm just going to say that it is an award-winning lager of sorts, and one that's also very popular here in Brooklyn. So we'll leave it at that. Cheers to tasty beers, and we'll get on with this taste test. All right. So, you know, they say when you're eating bread and pickles, you know, why not throw a beer in the mix too? It's basically bread. Okay. So now we've washed the taste buds, and we are ready. Thanks for tuning in. If you're just watching, we are going to taste test Brooklyn Brine's Hop-Pickles, which are made with Dogfish Head 60-minute IPA, as well as some Cascade hop oil. So, without further ado, let's just go in because, you know, we've been going here for a little bit. All right? And right away, I'm showing it's a very tight lid. And, you know, smelling it, because we got to use all our senses, right? It actually smells a lot more like traditional bread and butter pickles. It's a little bit sweet, not overly vinegary, but you can certainly taste some of this. You can smell some of the spices here. But yeah, if not for that label, you would expect these are your traditional bread and butter pickles, and they're sliced that way too. So I'm just going to kind of dive in here. Some of you like to use your fingers. My only advice with pickles, if you plan to keep them and, you know, snack on them, is you don't want to have too many of your bodily oils and things like that going in there, especially because it is, in some ways, a live food, especially when it's jarred. So here we are. Try to get a little moisture off of here so you can see it's a very standard pickle cut here. Nothing fancy about that. Looks like your typical bread and butter pickles. Maybe it's not as industrially sliced as what you might pick up at the grocery store in the unrefrigerated section, but it's here, and we're just going to go right in. So let's take a bite. Okay, that is a very spicy pickle. It smells very sweet, but it's clearly got a little bit of sugar in there, but that is a very spicy pickle. Um, nothing gut-wrenching, but you can really feel it sizzle on your tongue. Um, very much the kind of vinegar plus dry chili pepper taste that you might get from a spicier pickle. So that's pretty good. And you know what, I don't want to gross you out by talking and eating at the same time, but underneath that spiciness, you can taste a little bit of the bitter hops. It's really, it's more of an herbal hoppy taste, which is kind of weird because Cascade hops have a little bit more, or better known for having not so much an earthy taste as pine cone and citrusy, and maybe that's kind of culminating into what I perceive as the spicy, peppery taste. So we'll try another one here and take a bit short reprieve here again with our controlled root beer. So here we go. You know, I really love having a good, bread, pickle, and beer combo at a happy hour like this. So thanks for joining me on this live stream. Here on this one, you can really see some of the seeds beyond where my fork is poked in here. Oh, and there goes. These are not mass-produced. These are probably organic cucumbers too. So really using all the best ingredients in Brooklyn Brine here. I really appreciate that same devotion to their pickles as I'm sure Dogfish has to their beers. Excuse me, I'm a little burpy now. And if you're just joining us, we are doing a taste test of Brooklyn Brine's Hop-Pickles. If you have any questions or comments as we do this taste test, feel free, post them right down there. That's one of the great things about using Periscope. So let's just get back to it. Here's the second pickle, so let's eat it. This is a great stock. This really has almost everything I love about a well-made pickle when I think about it. It's got I'm getting more of the vinegary taste on the second one, but the heat's still there. And it does have a certain bitterness that makes it really kind of interesting. So I'm going to attribute that to the hops. I'm really not getting the 60-minute IPA. If I'm getting anything from the 60-minute IPA, it's that there is, when you have a Dogfish Head 60-minute IPA, a little bit of maltiness behind the hops. That's pretty great. And I can almost feel like maybe that's where some of the sweetness is coming from. You know, Dogfish has one of the better balanced IPAs out there, even though it's really, well known for what it does. It's just, there's definitely a bitterness. It's hard because this you can really see in this glass. All those little red pepper flakes, tons of, good pickling spices in there. Very little dill. Here's actually a good view of the pickles in their natural aroma. You can almost see, and I know the light's kind of yellow here, it almost has an orange tinge to it. So maybe that's where a lot of the red pepper tastes are coming in. Anytime you combine red pepper with vinegar, you're going to get something spicy anyway. But I think the hops are hiding a little bit under that. But at the same time, it's much more complex than just your straightforward hot pickle you can buy at the store, right? Really, it almost has like a homebrew like quality to it this way, because it's got that craftsmanship that you would really want to complex experience. It says on the label right here. Yep, that's a mouthful. It is. This is a great snack, by the way. I could nibble on this all afternoon. I would not get tired of it. We're going to cleanse our palate again here with our generic lager of sorts. And, as I've said many times on the Brew Noob blog, taste is a very subjective thing. So I'm not going to try to go too lengthy with this or too detailed. In my experience, and part of the reason why the Brew Noob is the way it is as the antithesis, so I don't want this to be a very long broadcast. I'm just going to have one more pickle, and then we're going to close it out for this beer cast, for this taste test. The original name of Brew Noob was Beer Test, and it was, I'm here to taste things so you don't have to. So we're going to have one more pickle, and I'm just kind of letting it wait, because I actually could still taste the heat from the spiciness of the pickles in my mouth. So that's a really interesting sign for this taste test. Let's have one more sip. Sometimes it's good to have a good control beer. Keep that in mind when you're doing taste tests. All right. And if you're just joining us, we are in the middle of a taste test of Brooklyn Brine's Hop-Pickles. This is the third and last pickle we're going to have, and we're going to talk about whether we can taste that has that hoppiness. It's definitely, hops are known to have a spicy or bitter taste, and that's adding up here, I think. I'm just going to take it right off the fork here. And once again, pretty typical pickle going on here. Nothing too crazy. You see it's a little bit thicker. It's not like those wafer, machine slice things that they give you at the grocery store. So, cheers. Thanks for tuning in. Here we go. It's a little sweet with the pickle juice. And then each bite, more and more heat. More heat. And then, I hate to say this because a lot of spicy food does stick around in your mouth, but it almost reminds me, in a way, of when you drink an IPA, and you have that bitter aftertaste, and it lingers around for a little while. And I think that's why they added the Dogfish Head IPA to this. It's just completely, the pickle itself is very crunchy. It's soaked in all the different ingredients put inside the jar. I mean, this is great. I almost feel like when you look at this bottle here, I'd love to hear from the people at the Brooklyn Brine Company if they individually package these rather than do them. I know traditionally pickles are made in large vats. Sometimes they're made similar to casking beer, where they're made in old oak barrels. But it almost tastes like, when you see that many spices in each jar, when you read about combining with the beer, it almost tastes like it's the way I think about a bottle fermented beer, where it's added its own taste over time and matured. So I'd love to talk with these fine people at Brooklyn Brine Co. So thanks again to Brooklyn Brine Co. for making this interesting pickle with lots of hops. Thanks to Dogfish Head for donating their good beer to an excellent, this has turned out to be an excellent pickle. I think it really makes it better. I really would like, if you know of any, pickle companies or weird food collaborations going on with breweries, feel free to send me a tweet at Brew Noob or on Facebook, facebook.com/BrewNoob. And we'd love to write more about it in the week to come. Until then, thanks for tuning in for this, and come back tomorrow. We're gonna relaunch Tallboy Thursdays. Tomorrow we'll be doing another live broadcast on the interweb nets. We're gonna kick it off. I'm gonna leave a little mystery to what Tallboy will be drinking tomorrow, but that'll be another live taste test just like this. So check in, follow us on Twitter at BrewNoob, And of course, for all everything about beer culture on brewnoob.com. Thanks again to Brooklyn Brine Co. and thank you for joining us for this live beer cast. All right. Bye.